McKinney Lions finish with a 52-15 loss at Highland Park as Coach Jeff Smith joins us now. And Jeff, a tough way to end the year.
No doubt. We knew going in Highland Park was a great football team. They're ranked 7th in the state in some polls, and we knew it was going to be a challenge, but we were excited about the opportunity, and it just didn't go our way. But Highland Park does a great job, and we wish them well in the playoffs.
Lions traveling south to Highlander Stadium this past Friday night in Week 10. You had to weather an early storm as the Scots took the opening kickoff and drove for a score.
They did. It was 3rd and 12 right here, and they not right here, but it was 3rd and 12, and they did score on that possession and got us into a 7-0 hole.
Highland Park was up 13-0 in the first, but you were able to move the ball offensively all night, 414 yards. You had balance with Robert Somborn in the passing game, hooking up with Quentin Kasner quite a bit, and Red Shannon running the football.
Yeah, we have some pretty good success running and throwing the football. Some of the drives stalled out on 4th. We went for it on 4th down and didn't get it, and some of them stalled. Some of them had penalties attached to them, and we just couldn't get the ball moving from there. But we did move the ball pretty well.
Somborn hooking up with Red Shannon there after the low snap, moving the chains. Somborn throwing for 200-plus yards and 2 touchdowns in his season finale here as a junior. You move it into the red zone. A positive sign for sure is you're able to cut it to a 1-score game in the first quarter.
Yeah, we kind of settled down a little bit. I think playing in that atmosphere, it's a pretty neat atmosphere. It's a great stadium and pretty loud, and I think we came out a little bit jittery, and we settled down and started figuring it out.
Kasner had a monster night, 13 catches, tying a career high, 135 yards, and you saw the first of 2 touchdowns from 9 yards out. T.V. Williams taking that handoff, a sophomore who certainly has a high ceiling going forward in your offense. And it's more the same. Jeff, you had mentioned it before. You've been able to move the football all year long, especially Shannon here late in the season running the ball. It's just sometimes turnovers, penalties have been the mistakes that have cost you.
It has. It's been consistency and limiting mistakes, and that's on us. I mean, that's something that we've got to correct and we've got to fix, and sometimes that, it's very frustrating, and it is for our kids. I mean, when we start to move the ball and we have a penalty or we make a mistake, and we've got to shore that up in the off season and get better.
Highland Park, a tough bunch to stop. As you know, the Scots scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. But a guy who played well on the back end for you, J.J. Johnson, a corner, has 1 year of eligibility remaining.
He does, and J.J. did play a great game. He was tested deep many times and stayed on top and really played a good game. And J.J.'s exciting that we'll have him coming back next year. And
you're also glad to have Red Shannon back next year. The junior had his best day since the 293-yard outing against Rockwall a month ago. 24 carries, 149 yards, and the 24 carries a season high for Red. That's a great sign going forward.
It is, and he took some shots. I mean, Red's not a real big guy, but he's just got a little wiggle and got some speed. And I think he, rushed for almost 900 yards, in about 5 games. So Red did a really good job jumping into that F position and playing that for us toward the end of the year.
You're right. He eclipsed 100 yards in 4 of those 5 games that he played here late in the year. He rushed for 861 to lead this team. Can you imagine what he'll be with a full off season, gearing up to play maybe that position and not so much slot receiver?
Right. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously we want to get the ball in his hands, and at F we can get it into his hands almost every snap if we want to, and the big thing with him is keeping him healthy and getting him stronger in the off season, and we'll see what happens, but we're definitely excited that he's coming back.
It had been a struggle really all year on defense, and I know that's a tough deal for you, the way this season has gone, but a lot of these guys on defense were seeing their first time on Friday nights. Where do you go from here on that side of the ball?
Well, I think that we've got a lot of evaluating to do in the off season. I think that we're gonna get in that weight room and bank some iron, but we're gonna do a lot of video breakdown. We're gonna really look at ourselves and really dissect things and find out what we can and can't do very well. And we've already started that process. I mean, as far as throughout the year, we evaluate ourselves every week, and we've got to get better. And we may have to move some people around. We'll just see. I mean, we're going to look at that. And good thing is we played a lot of young guys a lot this year, and they'll be all coming back, a bunch of them. And so that's the exciting part. I think we've got some really good young players on both sides of the ball that are going to help us get better and take it to another level next year.
At receiver, you lose Quentin Kasner. He finishes the year just shy of 1,000 yards. He had 10 touchdowns. How do you sum up what he did for you this year?
Oh, he was tremendous. I mean, Quentin is on our leadership council. That's where it starts. He's a solid leader, solid young man. He works very hard. He was at practice every day. You know, there's a comfortableness, or there's some comfort, I guess I should say, with Robert. Those two knew each other, threw the ball to each other quite a bit, and Robert was comfortable throwing the ball. So there was some of that, but, you know, Quentin knows what to do with it. You know, he makes catches. He knows how to get open and take care of the football, and you know, he'll be sorely missed. But we're just glad that we had him this year and last year, and for the contributions that he's made, and he really did a good job this year.
And Jeff, this was a small senior class overall. You had Kasner, you had a standout on the offensive line, and Marshall Agan at left guard, Elliott Parkman at defensive tackle, many others contributing. What will you miss most about this senior class? Well,
you know, there's just a lot of character. I think they are a small group, and they'll tell you that. You know, they were a small group when they were freshmen, but it's just kind of a little, as it does, it gets a little smaller. Guys move on, do different things, people move. But this group, I'll say this, the last 18 guys that stuck in there, that's what I said at the end of the game. I mean, it's a tribute to them. They could have quit. They could have, it's too high, it's too hard. You know, a lot of people fall out and get out of football, but those guys stayed with it and really dedicated a lot of time to it. And I think that as a whole, that group just has a lot of character. You know, they're just good young men. I mean, they really are. And we're going to miss that. You know, we're going to miss their personalities and them in the locker room. But we're also excited for their future and where they're going and what they're doing. And we'll see them again. But it was a good group of character kids.
And I'm sure you want to see that kind of character in your junior class, who you had to rely on quite a bit this year. Many of those juniors had leadership roles on this team, especially on defense. What do you need to see from that class between now and the beginning of next season?
Well, we've just got to really dedicate ourselves to getting better. And I think that starts with off-season. That starts with our mentality. That starts with you know, the importance of it and what we've got to do in the process, and that starts pretty quick. I mean, we're going to put equipment up, and sure, this week they'll go home and not have to practice in the afternoons and get a little rest, but we're going to start in that weight room on Monday, next Monday, and so I think it starts in there, and we've really just got to get some confidence, and I think that starts with physically changing their bodies and really getting stronger and faster, and take their experience from this year and move the pieces around and find the best chemistry that we can find. And I think this group of younger guys, now that they've played a lot of games, we'll have a lot of experience, and we'll be a lot better next year, significantly better. And so we're excited about that. But we've got a road ahead of us, you know, and we've got a great opponents that we play every week, and we know that. So we've got a lot of work to do.
Above all else, what can this team learn from this trying season?
Well, you know, I tell you, it's been an interesting process as far as growth. This is not what we want. This is not what the coaches want. It's really, really hard on our coaches and their families, you know, on our kids and their families, on our fans, on our alumni. It's hard on everybody. And we don't want that. That's not what we want. We want to be successful. We want our kids to be successful. We want to have a great program. And I believe we do. We just had a tough year. And so we've got to get some things fixed. And you know, that's what the off season's for. I think that through this process you learn a lot about yourself through the good times and the bad. It's easy when things are going good, but when things are not going very well, it's easy to blow up internally, and our kids stuck with it, and our fans stuck with it, and our coaches stuck with it. We got closer. We worked harder. We turned over every stone that we could turn over. We looked at ourselves and dissected ourselves a lot. I think that's going to help us in the off season, and I think we're going to do that more in the off season, what we can do to find an edge. And so I think, if anything, it just makes us more hungry and more determined. And so I think there's a lot of really good growth things. And I mentioned this with our kids. I mean, these are life lessons that they're learning. And football's a great sport. We love playing it. We want to win. But it doesn't always happen. It's just like life. And so we want these guys when they graduate to be good husbands and fathers and be good have great work ethic and make good decisions. And I think even though a tough situation is hard to go through, it teaches you a lot of those things. And so I think we're going to be better for it. It's hard to go through. It's not what you want. You're ready for it to be over. As far as the pain and the losing, you're ready to win. But you learn a lot from it. And we're going to take the positives and we're going to learn from it and we're going to move forward.
Jeff, we certainly appreciate the time every single week. It's been a pleasure all season long, and definitely best of luck this offseason. And before you know it, we'll be sitting here in August looking forward to 2012.
It will be here quickly, and we'll be ready.
Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it.
Jeff Smith, head coach of the McKinney Lions. Many lessons for McKinney here in 2011, many that will serve them well going into the future.